Hey, how are ya? My name is Lachlan Watt, and music is my life. Over the last couple of weeks, my band and I have been out on the road playing some regional dates with Make Them Suffer. And before it was all over, I got a couple of podcasts in the can with the other support bands. Next week's episode will be a conversation I had with Nick from Justice for the Damned. Well, the episode you're about to hear is with Mikey Arthur, the composer and storyteller both behind and in front of Melbourne's The Gloom in the Corner. This chat took place backstage before we all played a sold-out show in the outer southeast Melbourne suburb of Narre Warren. We covered the band's formation and early history, Mikey's musical superpower, while I also tried to make sense of the detailed and chaotic lore that is told through the band's music and visuals. I still feel like I'm not much closer to understanding exactly what the main thrust of the narrative actually is, although after standing next to Mikey at the merch desk for a handful of nights, I can say that the band has quite a few really dedicated fans who fully appreciate and understand the full story there. I really enjoyed this chat and could have easily kept talking to Mikey, but due to the nature of trying to squeeze in a recording while there's a show to play, this is a pretty succinct one. If you enjoy this podcast, please give it a like, a follow, subscribe, comment, or perhaps even share it with your friends. Every little bit really does help spread the word and build this platform's audience. My name is Lachlan Watt, music is my life, and now I give you my conversation with Mikey Arthur. Cheers. Enjoying tour, Mikey?
So far, mostly.
What's been the low light?
What's been the low light? Oh. Albury was pretty rough, not for the actual show itself, just how fucking cold it was. Yeah, it was like, I don't know, it said it was 6 degrees on the weather app, but I don't think that was true. It definitely felt like 2.
Yeah, shit. Is this the most extensive regional touring you've done?
Yeah, for sure. Like we've hit a few of these spots before. Like we've hit Albury before, and we've done Ballarat before, like a number of years ago. But this is definitely like the most extensive regional tour we've done for sure.
Seems like that's kind of the story with Gloom touring in general lately. It's just really ramped up in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it has. We're all very tired and very broke, but loving it.
Yeah, nice. What's been the highlight of all of that? Moving on from the lowlights.
Moving on from the lowlights, I think probably the US, I think, so far. We've been wanting to do the US for ages and ages and ages, so finally actually getting to do that opportunity, that was definitely like a bucket list thing, and we can't wait to go back again. That was probably our number one. We had a really cool little UK run as well in November last year with Cane Hill. For some reason, British people like us a lot. Maybe it's the familiarity, but yeah, it was just a good little run of shows that we did.
It seems like I think Gloom is one of those bands that really cultivated a following through the internet before you really brought that all together with the live shows.
Yeah.
Was that sort of something you really planned out, or is it just something that kind of happened?
I think it's something, like it was something that we did plan out eventually, but for the most part, I mean, I guess with a lot of bands, I guess to a certain degree, with the exception of a lot of modern bands now, I guess, we kind of didn't really take it seriously for the first couple of years. The whole thing originally actually started out as like a little EDM side project that I started, and then
Side project to what?
just whatever band I was in at the time, and then I ended up getting kicked out of that, and then joining another local band at the time. And so I was like, I kind of want to do something that's not that kind of heavy, and I want to do the vocals for it properly because I'd never fronted a band before. And then it kind of rolled into me wanting to do, like, I guess more of that new metalcore, kind of old school Sworn In or Dark Complex, any of those kind of like chugcore era kind of bands. And then we eventually formed a band out of that. And to be fair, I don't think we were very good for a number of years, or at least until recently, but we had fun with it. But yeah, once kind of Paul joined was when we started taking it a lot more seriously, and growing everything from there. But yeah, you're right. I think like a lot of that kind of cult following comes from those kind of chugcore days and everything too, which is weird to think about.
Yeah,
It's almost
because
9 years ago.
some of that stuff you're not particularly proud of, right?
No, I constantly rap on Fear Me, but I put that down more to like a production side of things. And more so just as a musician looking back, I'm sure you have the exact same thing where you go listen back to like an album that you did or whatever and you go, oh, I wish I did this better or I wish I did that. There's a lot of that in Fear Me, and I put it down to me just being a completely different vocalist to what I am now. But yeah, then there's one other song in particular on the Homecoming EP, which we refuse to play live, more so from my perspective than anything else. I just don't like the song.
Just because I thought it was a lyrical thing, or
Yeah, lyrical thing. Like I think I went, like, because we're a concept-driven band, like I think I went a little bit too close to home, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it was just about the wrong subject matter.
right?
And it's not really what we want to be known for, which is really fucking annoying when it's our number one song.
It's the one everyone wants to hear.
Oh, why are you playing Witch Hunt?
It's like
Fuck off.
took the Artist Murder a very long time to shake Whore to a chainsaw.
Yep. That's kind of, yeah, right, how I feel about it too. It's like, I don't want to be known for that. We have much better songs. It has a cool breakdown line, I guess. Grow up.
Yeah, and you were saying it's a very concept-driven band. I think we've had this discussion before, but I still kind of can't quite figure out what the overarching concept or theme is.
It's confusing and long, and I probably spent too much time going into like the nitty-gritty details which aren't really included in the music, and that's my own hubris, I guess. So wrap it up like quickly, there's angels, demons, heaven, hell, like that kind of thing. Like it's a whole big kind of biblical kind of based thing, which, you know, comes from influences from everywhere from me growing up and stuff like that. But my also main thing is like if your only takeaway from it is the music and you enjoy that, only that aspect of it, that's totally fine too.
So it's basically like your own kind of little comic book world.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Or like book series. People have asked for Netflix shows before, and then I have to tell them that you do realize how much Netflix shows cost, right?
We can barely afford to go play a show.
Yeah. If you buy one more T-shirt, I get 1/50 millionth of an inch closer to doing the Netflix show.
But do you have like books at this point?
We have a short story out that came out with the last single last year. And the people that are into the lore and everything like that are pretty receptive of it, and they love it. And
Do they really go away and bake it?
yeah, we have a Discord for our band that I and a couple of other people monitor, and we have like a channel that's solely dedicated to like the lore chat, and everyone will just ask their questions, and I'm always happy to answer most things, and they just talk about it and go off on heaps of theories and stuff like that, and where it can go next and all that kind of thing, which I think is really kind of cool to see. But yeah,
What's the most insane lore theory your fans have come up with so far?
That's a hard one. Oh,
What's the first one that comes to mind?
I think it's like probably central to like one of the characters immediately being like I mean, everyone in the Gloom War is pretty much like a bad guy. Like that's kind of the way that I wanted to write it, is that kind of Game of Thronesy kind of, in like there is no inherently like good people.
So there's no heroes.
No, not really. Like it's anti-heroes and predominantly villains. Like they all do terrible things. But the closest thing I guess we have to like a good character is like, and the most trustworthy character to a certain degree, like a lot of people have theorized, is that she's not what she seems and everything like that, which is the crazy one to me, because I try to make it as inexplicably clear as possible that like if you're going to like one character for being a somewhat good person, you probably should like that one. But people were just like, well, we just don't trust that. And I'm like, interesting.
Is there any connection to the band's name with all of the lore?
Yeah, we do have a demon in the Gloom lore called a Gloom, which is where the name kind of comes from. But honestly, the name came before the band itself, and
Yeah,
the
so you just kind of retroactively had to fit it in.
Yeah, it came from me forgetting my old Tumblr login, and I'm like, I was like, oh shit, I need to make a new one, and then I was like, oh, that actually kind of works as a cool band name. Let's do something with that.
So it was just like your emo journal first.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's kind of cool. What's the Wetworks sect crew?
That is also another law thing. So there's an organization in, or was an organization in the Gloom law called Section 13 or the Sect, and they're pretty much like paranormal police or etc. But a wet work crew is someone who comes in and does like cleanup for the military. It's a lot of black ops and stuff like that. So, or does like assassinations and plots assassinations and coups and stuff like that. So that's where that name comes from, which I suspect is where you're going with the Luigi shirt question coming next. Yeah. I was kind of wanted to put a little bit of fun on that because we originally had a shirt that had like a sect wetware crew that had like a whole list of real life assassinations or coups or operations and stuff that they had been involved in the war. But when the Luigi stuff happened, I was like,
We're claiming it.
We're claiming it. We're going to take opportunity on this.
So what you've linked a bunch of real world events to the Gloom law.
Yep.
Any more significant than the others? Like, is there 9/11?
Yes, there's 9/11. There's JFK. There was another big one. I think it was the operation that took down Saddam Hussein as well. I linked that one in too. A lot of them are kind of just like backstory tidbits to the organization to kind of give the reader, I guess, or the listener, like that kind of insight into what the organization does and how they kind of operate and stuff. And it's very kind of CIA, like that side of the black operations, which, you know, can get very, very messy, especially on international soil with what they don't declassify and stuff, like just very shady shit.
Have you incorporated any Epstein?
No, I haven't. That's the only one that I haven't done because I feel like it could be a little bit dicey, especially with the subject matter around that. I feel like it's like, like it'd be funny for sure to a certain degree, but I also like, I'm kind of like, I don't really want to delve into that side of things because that can push like some wrong buttons, and not in that aspect, just like from anyone else who may have gone through something like that. It's like, I don't really want to do that.
And you also might not want to potentially jeopardize US visas by getting too deep into that whole situation.
Yes, very much so. That's why we were very scarce with the Luigi shirt, because we were like, it was right before we went to the US, we printed it, and I was like, this one can't go up online. Yeah. Like this one's a show only, nothing posted about it. Even if someone like posts a photo on Instagram and stuff like that, like we're not resharing it or anything like that. They can't have any trace of it.
So did you sell that shirt in the US, or is it just an Australian special?
Australian special.
Nice. But you said that the US was the highlight of your touring so far. Like, people were really receptive to you over there?
Yeah, they were. And it's cool to see. Like, there's been a lot of people that had come to those shows and everything. They're like, we've been listening to you for like 8-9 years, like since Fear Me came out and stuff like that. And it's been awesome to finally like see you guys come out. We did play a Fear Me song on that tour as well. So it was kind of like the last little send off of that era before we move into the new stuff.
A little reward for all the OGs.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it went over really cool. That was definitely like the highlight, and sending off that one song or that one era, I guess, with that US tour, because a lot of people, as I said, have been waiting like a long time to see us. So I think that's really cool. Like, it's just very surreal, I guess.
Well, you're the only original member left in the band, yeah?
I am. That is correct. I mean, I'd technically count Paul at this stage. He's been in like since we started taking stuff seriously, so I'd also probably count Paul. But from that, yes, original Fear Me lineup, I am the last one standing.
No one else was about that life?
Yeah, not really. You know, like we went through like a few guitarists in our day. Matt, who was our last guitarist before Jesse, he was the other. Pardon me. He was like the last other original member, but like once we started coming back from COVID and getting into like that touring life, he wasn't about it either. And then Nick, who was our old drummer before Clinch, he was the last standing one before Matt. But yeah, like they those two like just did a few tours. Nick did an international tour and was kind of already on his way out, and he just didn't have the love for it anymore. I guess he really wanted to give it a crack, especially with Europe being Europe. He was like, I don't know when I'm going to get this opportunity again, but. I mean, he loved the trip. He had a hell of a time, but just the touring side of things, he was like, it's just not for me, kind of thing.
Yeah. What do you think it is about it that has kept you in the band and kept it going this whole time?
Being the sole songwriter is probably a big one.
All right.
Yeah, I write everything, and then the guys come in and chop and change stuff, and we have like production days and stuff. But it's generally me coming up with, I want to say, like 95% of the skeleton work for the songs.
So you're a full multi-instrumentalist?
Yeah. Well, as multi as I kind of
do
can be.
you program it or you actually play guitar?
No, I actually play guitar. I program bass because I'm lazy.
Yep.
And then I have a keyboard for like all the key stuff and writing like all the orchestral stuff, and then drums, as said, same thing. Like I'm not really a drummer. I'd like to think I know my way around it, mostly from being around very, very good drummers. But it's still not perfect, so I'll just like put down like scratch beats and stuff like that and send it over to Clinch or whoever and get it done.
So how did you get involved in playing music originally? What was like your first instrument?
It was guitar. It was guitar more than anything else. I was probably, I want to say 10. Yeah, so I've been playing guitar for a long fucking time. I don't want to say the number because it makes me feel old. But yeah, so it was guitar when I was 10, and then I ended up joining like a few bands from there after progressing and getting into electric guitar and stuff. And then I kind of got into singing and doing backup vocals and stuff like that throughout those bands. And I kind of have like this wonderful thing, well, wonderful, but also a cursed thing called perfect pitch. So I can hear a note and hear when it's out of key, which is awesome for singing because it kind of gives me a bit of a cheat code.
Terrible for watching local bands.
I was going to say terrible for listening to the crosswalk and going, oh, that's a somewhere between a B and an A sharp. But yeah, local bands also work. But yeah, no, it's actually, I think like the worst one that I had, I'm not going to say the name of the band because I actually really like the band and I think it was just a bad night. But I remember going to see this band and homie's guitar was not intonated, not in tune, and it was a headlining show in a big room. And I remember sitting there listening to the guitar being played and going, I almost have to walk out because it's driving my head in, like hearing like all the backing samples and stuff like that aligned with the vocals too. Something is out, and for once it's actually not the vocalist.
And so like how out of tune are we talking here?
Like a solid amount. Like to put it in musical terms, like I want to say around like 30 cents. Like it was almost like a full half step. Almost a full half step out of tune. Or it would just like bend and waver depending on where he'd be on the fretboard. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like how did you get up on stage and think this was okay? And it never got fixed.
But you find that it's more of a superpower than a hindrance?
Yes. It's great for writing music too because it means that like, I mean, I have somewhat of a little musical background from doing it in high school and stuff. So like figuring out keys and what works and what doesn't, it's really easy to identify, even mistakes and stuff like that. It's really easy to identify when something is not working. But more so I use it for singing because that's kind of the cheat code.
Yeah, but you are mostly a self-taught musician by the sounds of it then?
I am, yeah. I did like guitar lessons for a number of years, but for the most part, yeah, I'm generally self-taught.
You have a very impressive vocal range. Is that just something that you've sort of gradually built over the years?
I think like the singing side of things, as I said, like with the cheat code of perfect pitch kind of helped me figure out where to kind of sit and figure out my range from there. But it has taken a lot of time to kind of build upon that range and like actually get good at it. That's the thing about perfect pitch. Like I can hear when I'm out of key, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I can immediately like fix it on the spot. But I think like I put that down to like just working and touring and actually like solidifying like what my range is and what my voice is and stuff like that too.
So how do you even like find out that you've got perfect pitch? Like how did you put that? Obviously you would have like felt something, right?
Well, yeah, it kind of came, I think the only reasons I kind of retained it was from constantly tuning my guitars back and forth through various tunings, trying to play various metalcore songs when I was a teenager, and learning like what those tunings were and like what each note in the string was. But then I was just in music class one day, and my teacher kind of clocked onto it pretty quickly that I was able to kind of identify things pretty quick. And he's like, "Hey, what note is this?" And we'll like just play a note on the piano. I'll be like, "Oh, that's a B." I'm like, "Oh, cool. Like, what's this?" "Oh, that's an F." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you have perfect pitch." And I'm like, "The fuck is that?" He's like, "Oh, you can just hear a note and you can."
Do I get an A on my report card now?
Yeah, I'm like, "Can you pass me now?" And he's like, "No, you're going to work a lot harder, and I'm going to make things a lot harder for you." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck! I shouldn't have said anything."
So were you already into metalcore at that point?
Yeah, I was pretty heavy into metalcore and deathcore and just that whole kind of core realm kind of things. And I was like, I want to say around like 12, 13, I probably started listening to it. My first ever show was I Killed the Prom Queen when I was 12. Back in Ringwood OLP, that was it. But yeah, I got pretty heavily into it for sure.
Yeah, Prom Queen was my first local metalcore show as well.
No shit.
Probably quite a few years before that. In the
Yeah,
Michael
no
Crafter OG era.
That would be a number of years before that. I was the Jamie Hope era.
Oh, yeah.
It was just when he had come in though, I think. Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 28 next month.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you are a baby.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually now the youngest in the band for the first time, which is weird. Everyone else is older than me, and I'm like, oh, I get to be the young one for once. But I still feel old. So, especially when you've been doing the same band for 9 years, you're like, oh, fuck.
But it's like, I imagine it must be very rewarding being able to maintain the same band for so long, because like my experience has always been like every 2 or 3 years, it's like a new band and I got to start over, start building again.
Yep.
And it's always a fucking slog.
Yeah. I think like, yeah, that's kind of like what the main thing was with Gloom was, and that's why I was kind of, at least for a long time, I'm a lot better now. Very restricted in who I helped kind of write and stuff like that, or who like helped me write and everything. I was very closed off for a long time. I had same as you, like had a couple of really bad experiences in a couple of bands when I was a teenager. And that kind of with Gloom made me want to go like, okay, I want to do my own thing. I want to be in this kind of control. Maybe not as badly as one of the other bands, but like I want to, kind of be like running most of the show kind of thing. And then as I said, like Paul came along and we kind of opened our horizons quite a lot, and we're like, okay, if we need to function as a band, then we need to like function as a band and like each have our own roles and stuff like that.
So what does Paul bring to the table that makes him such an integral member?
Paul is very much the logistics man. He does like a lot of the management side now as well, and does like a lot of the chats with the booking agents and our manager Tuck over in the US. But yeah, like when it comes to touring and being on the road, like he's the logistics man. He'll plan out everything, organize like all the bookings and stuff like that. Like does like a lot of like the heavy lifting of that kind of stuff. It's mainly left to me and Jesse to do the merch. And then Clinch will help like secondary either like helping Paul out with the logistical side of things, or helping us out with like merch if he needs to, but it's generally helping Paul.
But like creatively, Paul isn't.
He'll he like comes. He's like the first person that I'll send the songs to.
Yeah.
He has a little bit of a songwriting background as well himself, like just the same kind of thing. And he's generally the first person that I'll send it to, and to be like, okay, like I like the vibe of this. If you want to go like this, like give it more of like this kind of thing. Or he's like, okay, goes very much into like, okay, what's the kind of vibe that you want to capture? As opposed to like actually saying a riff is good, a riff is bad. And like that works like a lot of the time. There are some days where I want to kill him because I'm like, Paul, I just need you to tell me if this riff is good or this riff is bad. And he goes, but what's the vibe you're trying to capture? And I'm like, that's not the fucking point.
That's getting too deep.
We're getting too deep. We don't need to go into the philosophical aspect of this yet. Jesus. But when it comes to like actually like rounding out the song and doing that side of things, that's where he's a big help, because I have ADHD. I'll put like 50 ideas into one song and it'll be like, okay, I really like this idea and the way this works with this, so let's smooth this out a little bit to make it a little bit easier.
It's wild to me that he's chopping and changing on this tour, like coming in and out. Like in my experience, it's usually like if someone can't do a tour, like or can't do part of it, you like get someone else to do it. But obviously he is that much of a rock to the band that you're like, come and do as much as you can.
Yep, he's a big part, and we don't. I think like part of it too. Like I don't want to speak for Paul or anything, obviously, but with his real life job, like we're not 100% sure on how many tours he's actually going to be able to do, which is really sad. It's a big change, but it's
what does he do?
He works for the Air Force. I'm not allowed to say anything more than that.
Right.
Legally, I'm actually not allowed to say anything more than that. But
he's part of the sect.
Yeah. Yes. Don't tell anyone. But with that, like, comes a lot of restrictions for what he can do touring-wise and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he only has a certain amount of leave per tour that, you know, he sometimes has to delegate to other things. Like he's got his honeymoon after this tour as well. So obviously he has to delegate some time to that. Otherwise his missus would kill him. But yeah, we try and make it we chop and change a little bit, but we try our best to make it work when we can. So that's also why he did this tour, was we're not sure how many more he physically outside of Australia can actually do. So
right, but even if he can't, he'll probably still be in the background.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And so Nick is like your go-to touring fill-in at the moment?
Yes, he is. We are very happy with him.
Nice.
Yeah, he fucking rips it every day. Same thing with like Clinch, where if Jesse can't make a tour or something like that, there was that kind of situation in the States where he got fucked around with his job too. Then I need a secondary merch person to help me out. Nick is there. If Paul isn't there and Jesse needs help setting up the rig or something like that, or Clinch needs help setting up the rig, Nick is there. He's a jack of all trades kind of thing.
Yeah, you. I think I said to you once before that you absorbed half of Earthcaller, it looked like.
Yes. But like Clinch and Nick have been in bands, like they've known each other for like 15 years. So It was pretty easy to grab him and just be like, yep, cool, like we're going to take you with us and get you out of this situation.
Fuck.
But yeah, so like, but as I said, like he's a jack of all trades kind of thing. You can put him anywhere. You can ask him to do something, he'll fucking do it. It's an asset to have someone like that too.
Yeah, when you once you find the dudes that are the right dudes, you want to keep them around for sure.
Yes, indeed.
So it's been 3 years since Trinity. Mm-hmm. I assume that there is an album on the not too distant horizon.
Yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, no, it's there. It's done. It's just being mixed now. We are aiming for the end of the year still, I believe. But yeah, it's been a minute, just like with a couple of the lineup changes that we've had and everything like that, and the touring that we've done. It took me a little bit of a longer while to kind of get writing. And then, yeah, it took like a minute to kind of get the ball rolling after Trinity. But yeah, no, it is coming eventually.
Are you going to do the whole shitload of guest vocalists again thing?
No, that's the only thing I can say about it. There are no guest vocalists on the album besides voice actors.
Right.
Yep.
So, like, it's getting pretty theatrical.
Yep. It's a big change. I wouldn't say it's a big change musically either, but it's different. Like, we tried to, it's a lot more honed in from, like, what Trinity was. Still the same vibe and everything, but everything's kind of a lot more organized as opposed to everywhere. But that's
you mean
kind
like sonically?
Yeah,
like
sonically,
yeah. Styles.
Yeah, like doing Trinity like over COVID was both a blessing and a curse, because it meant that we got as much time to do everything as we kind of needed and got to put as much as we kind of wanted into it without anyone telling us no. The issue with that is that no one told us no.
So there are a few parts looking back on it where you're like, oh shit, we went too far.
Yep, 100%. Like even me listening back, like I'm immensely proud of that record, and I'll happily go back and re-listen to it. Playing half of those songs live, I'm like, oh boy, I fucked up. I fucked up so bad doing this.
You know what it makes me think of? I don't know if you've seen the Phantom Menace behind the scenes documentary, and like everyone's sitting down watching like the first segment of the movie, and after the whole fish chase on Naboo,
Yeah.
George Lucas is kind of like, I think I might have gone a bit too far in a few places. Oh well.
Oh fuck it. Well, yeah,
done.
that was pretty much it. We got it mixed, and we're like, oh, we've gone a little bit too far here, but oh fuck it. It's like to us, it just sounds like Gloom. And then yeah, it was interesting playing a lot of those songs live as well, especially in like a European environment
Where you kind of got that real time feedback of this isn't vibing.
Yep. It was wild to see, especially in some places. That like, it wasn't that they weren't vibing, they liked it, but they just didn't know how to go along with the songs a lot of the time. Like there was too many changes and stuff like that.
I feel like that's my experience with Run, most shows we play.
Yeah, you're like,
Too much chopping and changing.
too much chopping and changing. Yeah. And so that was like a big thing moving forward. And for me, that was a big thing to overcome too, because I was like, I'm so used to that style of writing to a certain degree without anyone telling me no. And so like having to overcome that as well, like it took like a long time to get through that too. So, you know, it's been a while, but it is coming. It is coming.
And I assume there's probably some pretty big plans with like the lore tie-ins and other multimedia stuff.
Yes. Oh, not the multimedia side of things yet. I haven't fully gone down that rabbit hole. That's what I'm going to be doing once I get back from tour, is like actually prepping like everything for the album release. But yeah, as far as like the lore wise goes, it's the usual same batshittery. It's just the musical side of things. Like we just honed in a little bit more.
So who does all the artwork for all of these, all the lore stuff and all the characters?
He's a guy named Sam Mail. He's based out of the UK. He's been doing our stuff since 2017. He did our Homecoming EP. And we've always gone back to Sam. We've always had a very good relationship with Sam. He pretty much nails it every time. Even getting like the artwork briefs for the new album back, like the sketches and stuff like that, he's already like 90% of the way there. So we have it, yeah. He does everything for us as far as like the merch and stuff like that goes. We've been using Neptura Art or Tash. She does a lot of that kind of thing. For the single artwork for the Jericho Protocol as well, she did that. She also just locks the fuck in like real quick, and she's a big fan of the lore and stuff like that too. So she gets really into it.
So the Jericho Protocol is like a stepping stone between, like what's the story that song tells?
One of the characters goes to heaven, and heaven is not what it seems. Heaven is pretty much like a what's the Stephen King novel 1408 kind of situation, the hotel.
Don't know.
But it's kind of like all twisted and horror and everything like that. And she keeps getting like killed and reset and everything by like the heavenly guards and shit like that. It's meant to kind of be like a the place that she's staying at is kind of meant to be like a rehabilitation before you actually get into the actual heaven itself. And she keeps like fucking it up, and then at the end of the story, like she eventually breaks out, and that leads into the start of Trinity.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many speaking parts are there going to be on this record?
There's actually not too many. I've kind of limited it quite a lot. Just because, as I said, I wanted it to be a lot more about the music side of things this time and making sure that it's coherent. And when you get to that kind of style of writing, it's like you only have a certain amount of time to kind of do things. They're more kind of like tidbits here and there that will fill out small spaces and stuff like that. But yeah, there's not too much, but there is some there. Like it's across like 4 or 5 songs, I think, out of the number that there is.
So do you think, is there ever going to be any kind of like definitive sort of lore book or story source that like can kind of actually explain everything, or you just kind of leave it up to everyone's own interpretation? So
we do have that for what we call the Fear Me arc, which starts at Fear Me and ends at our 3-track EP, Ultima Pluvia. So I do have a big PDF document that's like 75 pages. That scares people when I say that, but really it's only the first like 15 which actually covers the story. The rest of that is all like character profiles, yada, 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 this, that, the other. But I will probably do something similar for the current arc that we're in. What I'm also trying to do is actually adapt it into like short stories and everything like that people can digest kind of slowly. Because that's what we found worked really well with those people that do want to get into the lore with the short story that came with Jericho. But again, like that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I'm slowly getting through it, but it just, I said, it takes a lot of time and effort.
And were you like a writer as a kid, like always writing short stories and doing drawings of little characters and shit? Like
the drawing side, less so. But the writing side, yeah, I did. Like a lot of the characters that actually made it into the Gloom lore did come from a lot of short stories and stuff that I wrote as a kid. I just adapted them and everything for this kind of format. And that's kind of where I fucked up too with the with the Gloom lore. Originally, we were meant to go from Fear Me straight into what happens with Trinity. And then we decided as a band, like, oh, before we do like another album, like we want to kind of explore an EP and do like this, that, and the other and kind of build up, you know, everything. I was like, oh, fuck, now I have to expand the lore in a way that's going to get really confusing really fucking quickly. And so that's why like the Fear Me arc side of things especially is very convoluted and very messy and everything. And I've tried my best to try and keep it as straightforward as I can. With this new arc, there is going to be some things that just you're not going to be able to explain, but most of the story stuff is like pretty straightforward, I'd like to think.
So it's all kind of wrapped up now, and this new arc is the same characters going on to a different bunch of events?
Yeah. It's kind of like, I like to look at it like a TV show, or like each season of like Supernatural is like a big influence on me. It was Supernatural. Like they go through like all these different, I said, arcs kind of per season. That's kind of the best way that I like to look at it, at least. Or anime as well, or a manga. Like a lot of people have like these big arcs, and that kind of storytelling I think works really well for a band like Gloom that like I don't want to like force a story into 12 tracks. I'd rather have like a little bit more freedom and you know, kind of bait people as if it's almost like a next episode kind of thing.
And do you find that you kind of incorporate your own emotions and frustrations into what these characters are experiencing?
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I really only do it for like a very select number of characters as well. Because that way each song, for example, or each section, etc., can have kind of its own identity. If it was full blown like one character the entire time, then it would like the subject matter itself as well would also get pretty flat across like the whole record. Like having multiple different perspectives, while yes confusing, allows for a variation of things across a record, and it's what makes us varied, I think, too. Like there's happy songs, there's sad songs, there's angry songs. Like we kind of move amongst like those different personalities, I think, fairly well.
So if you had like the budget to be able to do it, would you prefer to tell the story of the Gloom universe through like animation, movie, computer game, comic book? What would be your ideal medium?
Yeah, I've thought about this long and hard. Like I'd love to say animation, but I know how much time and how costly it is, especially nowadays.
Budget's not an issue for this hypothetical.
Oh, budget's not an issue. Oh.
Well, I'm just asking what your preferred medium would be.
I think like probably it'd be like like actual like live action TV show or video game. I think for me, growing up on a lot of video games, there's a lot of video game references.
There's so many video game references.
There's so many video game references. I feel like it would have to be like those two together. I think that would be really cool.
What are your all-time favorite video games?
Oh, hard question. I've always been a big fan of the Tomb Raider franchise. Both original, the middle one, and the new one. I'm a big BioShock fan, as you can tell from the BioShock logo on my wrist. I'm a big Halo fan, and I'm a big Gears of War fan as well. I've recently as well, a big Resident Evil fan too. I need to get my horror from somewhere, but I've recently just got into Silent Hill as well, like actually properly playing Silent Hill. And that one's especially like on the newer stuff, I think is a big influence too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could easily keep talking about all this shit for a while, but we should probably wrap this up because I think we still have to finish our line check because this house guy is fucking useless.
Fuck. Are you having fun though?
Yeah. So much fun.
I can tell. You're not giving anything away at all.
Anything else you want to say before we shut this down?
Thank you, Make Them Suffer, for having us on this run. Thank you, Justice, for being awesome. Thank you for being awesome. New stuff soon, I guess.
Thanks, Mikey.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to Music Is My Life. This podcast is self-produced by me, Lachlan Watt. I'd like to thank Audio Technica Australia for providing the high-quality equipment that has made this possible, as well as Patrick Galvin at Hollowbone Studio for the design. The killer theme music that you are currently hearing was written by the legends TJ Cowgill and Sam Saljuki. Catch you in the next episode.